Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Michelle. I wanted to share a watercolor experiment I learned from Mind of Watercolor. I will link the video below. I'm very interested in learning how to watercolor, but I often find it difficult to find the time to pull out all the supplies and select just one idea to sketch and paint. Nor do I enjoy swatching or painting empty squares. I'd like to jump in and get started. When I happened upon this video, I thought this might just be the perfect way for me to practice. So I'm only going to provide a little bit of an overview on the preparation for this. What I have done was taken some coloring book pages. I scaled them up on my printer and traced them onto watercolor paper. So they're all ready to go. I did a bunch of these seashells and the shark, and then I've also done this seahorse, which is just part of a smaller I forget what the page looks like. I think it's got some fish and some seahorses, and I scaled it up quite a couple of times to get it as large as it is here. And I just have some relatively inexpensive watercolors here, pretty excellent, that are available on Amazon. And put this back. I am going to be using Anna Mason number 3 brush. You don't need anything nearly as expensive. I bought these a while back after I bought her book. I also have just Reeves brushes, some Princeton brushes. I have Walmart brands, all sorts of different brushes. I think they're all synthetic, because I don't think I paid very much for any of them, except for the Anna Mason ones, which were shipped from the UK. I also have just a plain white plate I'm going to be using for my palette, 2 glasses of water, some towels, and I have some swatch tags here that I made up a few weeks ago of the pretty excellent watercolor paints. I'm going to work on the shark, and I'm going to select some of these blues in here, and we'll see how it goes. I also took some notes after I've gone back and watched the Mind of Watercolor video a few times. I'm going to start at the beginning on the flat washes, and we'll see how it goes. I did a little bit of practice over here, and some of the flat washes didn't turn out too bad. Some of these other ones are looking a little wonky. So let's get going on the shark. I'm just going to grab, I don't remember what color this is. I don't know how to pronounce this. If it's Corline, it's not spelt the same as a Prismacolor pencil, so I'm not sure how to say that. If it's Corline, Sorline. but it's kind of a turquoisey color. And I'm going to just make this all the same consistency and dab my brush a little bit here, which you can't see. And start painting. Trying to make sure I don't have too much water. Puddles dry unevenly, so we don't want any of those. There's a little bit of a puddle, and then just try to even that out. Doesn't look too bad. Maybe I'll lighten this up a little bit more. Just dab my brush off a little bit. Try another area. Try to stay in the lines. The reason I liked this idea so much was I don't like swatching, like I mentioned before. It just, I don't know, I don't use the swatches regardless of what it's for. I have a lot of different colored pencils, and I just want to get started on stuff. I don't care for making all the swatches and looking at the colors. It doesn't seem very useful. At least not if you're going to put them like in one book. I generally look at colors on a separate piece of paper as I'm coloring. And it just seems, I don't know, sort of, I don't want to say a waste of time, but that's kind of how it feels. This coloring these watercoloring these coloring book pages seems to provide more of a purpose to me. So I think this is working out halfway decent. I just thought it would be a good way to practice, and you can do up the you can trace out the pages, you know, while you're watching TV, or, you know, you can have them ready to go ahead of time, which I thought was a nice idea. You know, it's convenient. You can just make up a bunch of pages. You can even trace the same page a couple of times and then just practice on the different techniques, which, by the way, I would really, if you're interested in learning watercolor, I think Steve at Mind of Watercolor is a great teacher. He explains why you want to do this. He explains, you know, all the reasons behind it, and the techniques, also the techniques, more specifically than I can provide. Let's try, what else is on the list? Gradient washes. Let me grab another This is a little bit darker turquoise type color. Smooth it out a little bit. Let me see about doing one of these longer. I don't know if this is seaweed or what it's supposed to represent, and see if we can gradiate that out a little bit. I'm going to start dark. Trying not to puddle too much. And see if I can lighten this up a little bit as we go. It's a pretty tiny area, even though I scaled this up. But I wanted the whole shark on this. This is just a Canson 9x12 watercolor paper. It's just inexpensive. I buy it at Walmart for like $5, I think. And I think it will work just fine for practicing, learning how to gauge the amount of water needed. Alright, so I don't know if that went very well or not. Once it dries, I'll tell a little bit more. I've watched a lot of videos on watercolor for beginners. I have a lot of books, and from what I understand, it's more about trying things, and eventually, after enough practice, you'll get the feel for it. I suppose a lot of art supplies are like that. Especially when you're watching videos, because you can't really tell, you know, how much water somebody has in their brush, or, you know, how much pressure somebody's putting on a pencil. But I just always like to have, like I said, a little bit more, I feel like what I'm doing has a little bit more purpose to it. And I often have problems deciding what to draw, what to paint, what to color. I have so many ideas that float around in my head so much that it's hard to decide. Alright, so that looks more flat, but oh well. I'm going to turn my page a little bit here and try this again. I think I have something on there. So far, I've been enjoying this process a lot more than I do walking through the beginner books. You know, they start you out with just the rectangles and such. And I become a little bit impatient. with the more mundane tasks, I guess you could call them. Oops. Oh, this already dried. So my vision for this channel is to be a little bit more of a, you know, learn with me. I'm running out of some space here. Probably not in frame either. So I would really like if you have any comments or questions, things. I mean, I like to help people and I like to learn. So if you had a specific question of about something, colored pencils, watercolor, pastels, you know, I thought it would be fun to you know, try different things that people suggest or want to learn more about and talk about them. You know, as they travel down their art journey. Well, I need a lot more practice, I can see that for sure. So I think for now, I'll leave this video short, see how it goes, see how it if anybody happens to run across it. And I will probably continue with some more of these. Maybe some more videos of these, the rest of these shells and stuff I have, as I have time to work on them. And thank you for watching. Bye.